Welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of the All Talk Sports Show. Today we're going to talk about every NBA's team total win total, or over, under, or even for each of the teams. We'll give a good reasoning why. We'll mention the team's win total last year, some of the changes that they made, and then we'll give our top 5 NBA duos for this season, not including injured players like Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant.
All right, so right away, we're going to start off with the Bucks. And their over-under is 54.5, and last year they had 60 wins. So, Frank?
I'm going to say over, even though they lost Brogdon and Mirotic. 54.5 wins in the Eastern Conference now should be pretty easy for them, considering it got weaker, and they had 60 last year. They're going to rely a little bit more on Middleton to be better and be worth his contract. Giannis still, like I said, has room to improve in multiple episodes previously. So I think that the Bucks can easily go over 54.5. I don't know how much over, because I don't think 60 wins is probably, likely again, but we'll see.
I have even, and if not even, I think slightly over 54.5. I'd maybe say something like 56 or 57. They're going to get close to 60 again. Like Frank said, like we said other times, Giannis is just the reigning MVP. He has so much room to improve still, and I think the Bucks are going to tear it up again next season. Moving along, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, and they won 51 games last year, and they now are at, their over-under is a 53.5.
Yeah, they won 51 last year with a little bit better of a team, although they acquired Butler and Harris a little later in the season. But I would say under, just because of the reason why Joel Embiid's not going to play throughout the whole season. They're going to watch his load management. And you still need guys. You added Horford and Richardson, so you still need the team to gel a little bit. And your bench is not as deep as it was last year. This year off the bench, you're really going to have only like James Ennis, Thibault, and O'Quinn, like 3 guys really. So you're going to have a smaller rotation, which is going to hurt you. And then Embiid not playing consistently enough because obviously injuries. And then they're going to be resting him on back-to-backs. So I'm going to say under for the Sixers. I'm not sure how much under. Probably pretty close to 50 wins. But they should still be around 50 wins. You'd still be in the driver's seat to be the second team in the conference.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just think all around last year's team was a lot better in terms of chemistry. The players playing with each other as a team. They got a bunch of new guys coming in, so we have to see how they mesh together and everything. But I also put under for this one, and I'm going to go right along with him, probably pretty close to 50 wins. Next we have the Pacers. And their over-under is 48.5, and last year was 48.
Yeah, so the Pacers are going to be without Oladipo until about December. Last year they were without him for a decent amount of time, and had Bogdanovich stuff with the scoring. So you added Lamb and Brogdon, which was a huge signing. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy. And then you lost Thad Young, who's a good backup, for you guys, or a good starter, but played kind of around 25 minutes, 30 minutes a game. Really good defensively. But you're going to need more out of a guy like Sabonis this year. Miles Turner's on a decently sized contract. You need some help out of him. But you added TJ Warren, too, in a trade, which I thought was really good for the 32nd pick. So I'm going to say under, but I don't think they're going to lose that many games under. It's going to be very close to around 48 wins, and they should be competing for the 3 or 4 seed in the conference. But the thing with them is, it's like we said for the Sixers, it's going to take time. It's a fairly new team. The Bucks, have most of the same pieces coming back, important pieces. So the Pacers are fairly new. So I'm not sure who's going to pick up the scoring, to be honest with you. I think Brogdon can, but I think Jeremy Lamb, TJ Warren could score. They have a lot of balanced scoring in their lineup. So I think around 48, 47 wins is okay, but I'm going to say a little bit under. But, they could still be in the 3 or 4 seed with those kind of numbers.
Yeah, I put under as well. I think they did sign a bunch of big players, like Frank said, but I think ultimately Oladipo out to December is going to kind of take a little bit of a toll on that team.
And then when he comes back, he's your best player, so it's going to take time for him to mesh with everyone again. So by the time that happens, it'll be February already.
Okay, next we're going to move on to the Nets. They won 42 games last season, and their over-under this year is a 45.5.
Okay, so the Nets, I'm going to say even. They won 42 games last year, but you got Kyrie. You lost like Hollis Jefferson, no really big deal. But I think Kyrie's going to help this team a little bit. I mean, D'Lo was a good leader for them, but 45.5 is definitely achievable, and guys like Jared Allen are going to take a step up. So if the younger guys develop, Levert's going to be back for a full season. So it's only really like 3 or 4 more wins with Kyrie, and I don't think they could do that because he's probably a top 10 player in our league.
I have them even as well, but like I could see them going a little bit lower than 45, probably somewhere between 40 and 45. Obviously, when Durant comes back, that number is going to fly up, but just with Kyrie there, it's going to keep them around the same as they were last season. On the Celtics, with him, they won 49 games, but the Celtics had a better all-around team. So depending on how everybody meshes together, I do think they could win. They're probably going to win over 40 games, but I'd say close to between 40 and 45, but probably a little bit closer to 45. Moving along, we're going to go to the Celtics, who we skipped. They won 49 games, as I said, and their over-under is a 48.5.
So I'm going to say under. Kyrie and Kemba are kind of like similar players, similar talent-wise, so that's not going to affect them much. But losing Al Horford is, and you lost Marcus Morris also, so you lost your 4 and 5, and you lost Aaron Baines as well. So your depth at the in the front court is lacking. And then you have a guy like Cantor, who's a really good offensive player, but you're going to struggle defensively. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to a guy like Tatum and Brown and how they develop. If they take a big step up in their game, and if Tatum might be coming, without Kyrie there, and Brown also might without Kyrie there, because Kyrie kind of gave the young guys a problem because he wasn't really a leader like Kemba was. So 48.5, it's pretty close. I would say they're probably going to win about 45 games this season. It's going to take them some time, but we'll see.
I also have them under. I think Kemba going there, they're in search of a new leader. I think it depends on how they take to Kemba, the team as a whole, knowing that Kemba is going to be the guy to lead their team through the entire season. However, I don't think they are going to win 48.5 games, as the number says. I would probably also say somewhere between like 45 and that number, maybe even a little less. But yeah, they're definitely not going to be winning the same amount of games they did last season. Moving on, we're going to go to the Raptors. So they won 58 games last season, and their over-under is a 45.5. So, Frank, losing Kawhi, how do you think that affects them?
Well, it obviously does. You lost your best player defensively, best scorer. You lost probably the best player in the NBA. And you lost Danny Green also, who was really good spacing the floor for you. But a guy like Siakam's going to have to take a big step up, and he's probably going to be your best player this season. So you're not going to win as many games as you did last year. 45 is pushing it, yeah, exactly, because it's going to take time. So I'm going to say under. I think they're going to be right around there, though.
I'd say high 30s, to be honest.
Losing Kawhi is really difficult. So, and I think it's going to hurt them in more than just a way of playing basketball. He was a big leader for them, so it's going to be they're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Kawhi brought a lot of things out of players in the playoffs that a lot of guys never really heard of, and he pushed everyone on that team. And I think I don't know how they're going to pan out without him. Honest to God, I know the team's going to get worse, but I say around 38 wins.
All right, next we're going to move on to the Miami Heat. They won 39 games last year. This year they're projected to win 42.5 games. So I think they're going to be around the same boat. I'm going to say even. Close. You added Butler, you added Hero, you moved around a couple pieces that weren't really that important to you, so no big deal with that. But I don't know, Rick. What do you think?
Well, obviously you've seen Hero in the summer league doing fairly well. I'm not a firm believer in the summer league as a gauge to how good a player is in the regular season, but he's kind of showing he could play a little bit.
Shooting the lights out.
I'm sorry?
Shooting the lights out.
Also, the addition of Jimmy Butler. That's going to be big for that team. But
they're no more than a 6-7 seed.
Yeah. I have them as even, but I could see them winning over 42 games with ease.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about the Orlando Magic. Last year, they won 42 games. This year, it's set at just about the same total, 41.5. I'm going to say under. I'm sure you agree with me here.
Mm-hmm.
Last season, the Magic, it was, in my eyes, it's a fluke playoff year. They won Game 1 in Toronto, but they're nothing more, than a 40-win team. I don't think really. They're just not great. Next, we're going to talk about the Detroit Pistons. Last year, they won 41 games. This year, the total was set a little lower at 35.5, even though they added Derrick Rose. So, Rick, what do you think?
I think they're going to still go over that.
Yeah, 35.5 is a little low. I think
setting it lower, and the only big move they made was getting Derrick Rose. And
I think they could be around 39. I mean, that's not crazy.
Yeah.
And you added Sekou in the draft.
Mhm.
I mean, you lost Ellington, but your team wasn't great. Adding like a real point guard that can score the basketball and run pick and roll with your bigs is going to be important. I think Blake Griffin's, he played well last year. He's an all-star caliber player, so he'll help them win. I think they'll be around 39 win mark, knocking the door on an 8 seed.
They set the bar a little too low for them, honest to God. Yeah, I'd probably say around 38, 39 wins as well.
All right, next we're going to talk about one of our favorite teams, or one of my favorite young teams. The Atlanta Hawks. Last year they won 29 games, but after the All-Star break, Trae Young really picked it up, and so did the team. So this year the total is set at 32.5. They added DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish in the draft, which is very important. So I think that it's going to be good for them. So I'm going to say over. I think 32.5 is pretty low. I think the Hawks could be knocking on the door for an 8 seed as well. It could be around 30, 35, 39 wins. It just all depends really how consistent Trae Young is throughout the season. So we'll see. But I would definitely say over.
Yeah, once again, they set the bar way too low there for them. They had a stellar draft, and Trae Young, he only is going to improve. So I also think that they're probably going to win around 39 games. You never know. They could be pushing in the 40s. Next, we're going to move on to the Knicks.
They won 17 games last year. This year it's set at 27.5. Although the Knicks missed out on tough free agents, they still added some quality pieces and guys that can actually play basketball. I'm going to say they're going to be around 27, 28 wins. It's not a crazy team, but ultimately adding Randall was big for them, and R.J. Barrett, obviously, Dennis Smith Jr. We'll see how he is. But this team still has a lot of growing to do, and it's going to be year by year growth for the young guys. But Rick, what do you think?
I think adding Randall was huge for that team, and I could see them now with Barrett, if Barrett pans out, because obviously this is just all on paper here, so if Barrett pans out to what he's supposed to be, I could see them pushing, honestly, 35 wins. I could. They got Randall. Randall, 24 points a game last season. They got guys who can actually play basketball now, so I could see that also boosting the morale of other team players and kind of saying, oh, we actually have a team to play with. I could see them pushing 35.
All right, next we're going to move on to Graf's Bulls. 22 wins last season. Pretty tough. This year the bar is set at 30.5. They added Thaddeus Young and Thomas Satoransky, and then in the draft they added Kobe White, and they also added Daniel Gafford. So they added 4 quality pieces to what they had last year around Marketing, Levine, Porter, and Carter, who was injured for most of the season. So, I mean, I'm going to say even. I think around 30 wins. But I'm, thinking about how this team is built out, I think they could go a little bit over 30, 31. I think they could be around 34, 35, depending on injury history. A lot of these guys on this team have had injury history in the past. So if they can stay on the court, this team is definitely capable of winning 35 games. But we'll see.
I have even as well. There's a big gap, 22 and 30, obviously, with the draft and everything, how that went. I think the Bulls are going to sit right around 30 games. Next, we're going to move on to the Wizards. They won 32 games last season, and their over-under is a 28.5. I have them even, if not pretty damn close to 32 games. I think that's probably a set thing that they're probably going to handle throughout the season. That's probably a good number that they have in mind as well.
I'm going to say under. I think their Bradley Beal is going to be gone by the time All-Star break happens, or the trade deadline comes up, because there's no way that this team will be capable enough to win 28 games. You're probably going to get rid of Beal. John Wall's not going to play all season. Who else do you really have? I mean, in my eyes, once they start the season off poorly, they're just going to be like, all right, we're going to tear everything down from the start. Beal's got a couple years left on his deal. They'll just trade him for basically anything that they could get at that point. Next, Cleveland. They won 19 games last year. The bar is set at 25.5. I'm gonna say I said under originally, but I'm gonna probably say even now because you added Garland, Windler, and Porter, and all those guys can play. New coach coming in, so they could probably win about 25 games, but I wouldn't see anything more.
I agree with you completely there. We're going to move on to the Hornets now. Last year, winning 39 games. This year, their over-under is 23.5. And I'm going to say that they're going to go under that. That is a really low number coming from 39, but I still think they're going to go down even more. Kemba Walker was the heart and soul of that team. He literally carried that team. And the only move the Hornets really made was signing Rozier. And then I really don't feel like that's going to help them enough to even get them to 23 games. I really just think that they're going to perform terribly.
This might be the worst team in the NBA, and it might not even be a question. They're horrible. So I'd be surprised to see them win over 20 games, honestly. They're horrible.
I was going to say 19 games. Yeah. I'd probably put them right at 19 on the nose. We're going to move on to the Rockets now. Winning 53 games last season, and their over-under this season is 51.5. And right away, I think we both can agree, over.
Yeah.
No definitely. Question about it.
Westbrook's a huge upgrade rather than Chris Paul. Chris Paul's a pain in the ass. He's a problem. Him and Harden are a problem. So Westbrook's going to be big. They played together in OKC already, so I think over 51 is definitely achievable. I don't know how many more. They could be around the same mark as last year, a couple more, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory adding Westbrook to that team, what it does, and shipping Chris Paul out, who had a huge problem with James Harden, as everybody has heard. Westbrook adds an incredible amount of talent to that team as a basketball player and somebody who also wants to win. Playing with James Harden now as well, old teammate, like he said, they already have chemistry. They're gonna go over 51 games. Clippers, 48 games last season, 55.5 this season. I'm gonna say right around 55, maybe a tiny bit over, but not by much.
I'm going to say over. I mean, you added two of the best 5-7 players in the NBA. So, although Kawhi's going to have load management, he might only play around 60, 65 games. Paul George could definitely carry the load with the amount of good role players that they have on this team. Bringing back Beverly, Harrell, Lou Williams, Shamet. You have so many good basketball players here. So, I mean, I would say definitely they could be around. I mean, it's set at 55.5, which is kind of high, but I could see them winning around 58 games, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not the firmest believer that they're going to really light it that far up this season. I think 55 is a great number for them. I think it's perfect. Utah Jazz next. 50 wins last season, 52.5 this season. Frank?
Over. You added Conley, major upgrade at point guard instead of Rubio. You added Bogdanovic, who's going to be a perfect second scoring option for you at the small forward spot. You added Ed Davis, Moutier, Jeff Green off the bench, three guys who could play NBA basketball off the bench. Only 2.5 more wins with those moves that you made this offseason. I could say they might. This team could easily be a second seed in the Western Conference. They're a really good basketball team, so I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go right with you on that one. Lakers, 37 wins last season. Over-under is 51.5 this season. And another one, firmly believe it's going to be over 51 wins.
Yeah, they might watch LeBron and Anthony Davis' load management, but LeBron's going to be healthy hopefully this full season. We'll see him play. And then him and Anthony Davis, we'll see. But they added some good veterans. I think, Boogie adding another scoring option, but maybe Kuzma takes a step up. It's a little bit better. So we'll see. But I think 51.5, I could think they could be around 53, 54.
I would say right around 55. I think the team is going to improve tremendously this year. Now that they added Anthony Davis, obviously LeBron sat out last season. There's no telling what the team would have done if he was there for the full season, how many games they would have won. They were plagued by injury. They could have been a playoff team easily if LeBron never got injured, and Lonzo as well. So I think 51 is a really good number, but I think they're going to surpass that by probably, I could see them winning 58, 59 at the most, but I'd say right around where you said 54, 55 is a good number. This team's going to be really good this year. We got the Nuggets next. 54 wins last season. Their over-under is 50.5. Over.
Kind of disrespectful. Although the West got better, I think adding MPJ is going to be here hopefully for the season. But we'll see. The Nuggets really, and yeah, adding Jerry and Grant, I think for them was huge. He's going to be perfect. He fits that team perfectly as a 3 and D kind of guy at the 4 spot too with Millsap. So I'm going to say over. I'm not sure about they probably going to be around the same win mark that they had last year, 54 wins. So we'll see. Definitely a top 4 or 5 team in the West though.
Yeah.
Could even be number 1 seeding.
We have the Warriors, and obviously big moves from them in the offseason. So their over-under is a 47.5, and they had 57 wins last season. I don't think that they're going to go far over 47.5 wins.
I'm going to say they're still going to win around 50 games, I'd say. I mean, you still have Steph Curry, D'Angelo Russell. I think that's actually going to work out, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works out when Klay comes back in, because I think Klay and Curry are good off the ball. D'Angelo Russell will be a guy with the ball. Draymond's going to need to play a little bit better. They don't have as deep as a rotation as they did last year. You lost guys like Jordan Bell, Livingston. I think it was huge. One of the most underrated moves of the offseason, keeping Looney for only $5 million a year for the next 3 years. Willie Cauley-Stein only getting paid $2 million to come and play center for them. So they have some okay pieces. I think Jordan Poole and Eric Paschall, the 2 guys they drafted, are NBA ready. So we'll see. I think they could easily win around 50 games.
I think their depth is decent compared to last season. Obviously, it got a little bit worse, but you got Klay Thompson out for what looks like almost the whole season. And on top,
he'll be back by February, but it's going to take time for them to all gel together again.
February? That's when they're expecting him to be back from an Achilles injury?
It's not Achilles, ACL.
ACL, I'm sorry, yeah.
I'd say February.
I'm thinking of Durant, because I was going to say losing Durant's going to be the biggest, kick in the face to this team. Trailblazers next. 53 wins last season. 44.5 is their over-under.
Yeah, this was like disrespectful almost. You put them about 9 wins lower,
9 wins.
Even though in my eyes they got better. I think Whiteside's better than Nurkic. Nurkic is going to be out. Keeping Rodney Hood was big. Losing Curry was kind of important. But Zach Collins is ready to play at the 4 spot. You got rid of Aminu and Harkless, who were 3-and-D guys who don't know how to shoot threes. So I think that they got a little bit better in that department. I think the Blazers could easily win around 50 games again. So I'm going to say way over. I don't know why we set at 44.5. That was kind of crazy in my eyes. 9 games lower for a team that was one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the conference. So I was a little confused.
I think, like we said when we were rating the free agency moves, the Blazers didn't really, they have almost the same team. They had a phenomenal team last year, winning 53 games. There's not really much room to move in any direction, barring any injuries or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna say probably right around 50 wins. Spurs, 48 games last season, 43.5 is their over-under for this season. I'm gonna say even, if not a little bit under, maybe 40 games.
I'm going to say even. They made the playoffs 22 straight years, but in an offseason where it was probably the most busy offseason in NBA history, you didn't do anything. So, and the West got so much better. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think they could win about 43 games is probably close. They'll be around 500, so we'll see.
Their only move was re-signing Rudy Gay for 2 years. So, I just can't see them performing again in a stacked division, winning 43.5 games. 39 is fair. Mavericks, 33 games last season, 41.5 this season is their over-under. Frank.
I'm going to say under. I get it, but you signed so many bad basketball players that you're going to have to be playing like actual minutes. KP is going to be healthy for them, but the West is so good, and is this team really ready to compete now? Probably not. So they could be around 38, 39 wins. They'll be around 500, but I don't think they could win 42 games. They'll be close.
I think I'm going to put them right at 41.5. I think I'm going to go even. I think they have the talent, although I don't think Porzingis is going to be, the godsend that they're hoping for and that Knicks fans were hoping he would turn out to be when he was on the Knicks.
It's going to take him some time to get his feet under himself.
But I think in terms of talent, I think they have the right stuff to win 41 games. Pelicans next.
Yeah.
33 games last season, 36.5 this season.
I'm going to say over.
I'm going over with that one.
In my eyes, they got a lot better, to be honest with you. You added Lonzo, Josh Hart, Zion in the draft, Brandon Ingram, Derek Favors in a trade, Jackson Hayes, Alexander Walker. 6 basketball players for losing basically Anthony Davis. I mean, it's crazy. I think they got a lot better. You added J.J. Redick too in the offseason. One of the best shooters, only get paid $13 million. It's crazy.
They have unlimited potential.
This team could easily be in the playoffs and could easily be, challenging a team in the first round. So
a lot of people are saying that they're going to be like the dark horse for the playoff run. They think they're. I think they could honestly sneak their way in. I really think it is disrespectful also to have them at 36.5. The entire sports media loves Zion so much, but they don't think that he could bring them up over 3 games in their win-loss total. I don't get that. But, however, they're going over 36.5. I'd say to stretch high 40s, I'm talking like 47, but like probably right around where they're going to say is like 42, 43.
Okay, now the Timberwolves, 35.5 is what it said out this year. They won 36 games last year. I'm going to say under. Like I said, the West got so much better. And if you're a team like this, you lost Derrick Rose and you were pretty much quiet. In an offseason where a ton of teams made moves, you sat back and you did nothing. So I'm going to say under for that reason. I don't think much more needs to be discussed. This team is a disaster. Andrew Wiggins. So moving on.
I agree with you. I'm going under there. No moves in the offseason, really. No key moves in the offseason. And Derrick Rose, I feel like, while many don't see it, was also a really huge player for this team.
He was the 3rd best player.
Mm-hmm. Just because he wasn't starting and putting up 20, 25 a game.
Still average 18 a game.
18 a game off the bench. I think he was a huge player for that team. I do. I think Derrick Rose is a huge loss for them as well. That's why I think they're going under 35.5.
Next, we got the Kings, winning 39 games last year. This year it's set at 35.5. I think they actually got a lot better. I think Bagley, Fox, and Hield are all going to develop. And then you added Corey Joseph and Dwayne Dedmon. You only lost Willie Cauley-Stein, who they said was very lazy and didn't want to really play anyway. So I think they're going to be better. They're going to be another team that could be competing for the 8 seed. The West is really deep. They'd probably make the playoffs in the East, but they'll be knocking on the door for an 8 seed here. So I'm going to say over. They might be around 39 wins. They might be another team that's going to be around 500. And, if they can win games down the stretch, they'll make the playoffs. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns next. This team had the worst offseason in the NBA. We've already talked about this 1,000 times. Won 19 games last year, set at 26.5. I'm going to say under. The West is too good. They didn't really get much better in my eyes, to be honest with you. You had the number 6 overall, and you could have potentially added a guy that was ready to be your 3rd best player at this point behind Booker and Ayton. And I don't think you really did that. You just added a bunch of role players. Like, I get adding role players is good, but you lost T.J. Warren, who was your 3rd best player last season. So I'm going to say under. The West is there's just too many good teams.
I'm going under as well. I think the perfect word to describe their offseason was pathetic. Not really adding anybody key here. If you were to guess their actual win total, what would you think it would be?
23, 24, 22. Low 20s.
All right, next we have the Thunder. 49 wins last season, 32.5
this
season.
I think it's set at 32.5 based off the fact that they think Chris Paul is going to play. So the number's probably going to be around 25, 26 if they're going to get rid of him,
right.
Which they will. But so I'm going to say under, obviously. Supposedly they want they're listening to calls for Steven Adams, their starting center, Roberson, and Dennis Schroeder. So this team is just in a complete rebuild. We know that after they traded Paul George for all the picks. Adding Shai was good. Gallinari, they're just going to wait till his contract expires. So this season and the next couple of seasons are going to be disastrous for the Thunder, but they're going to be after that trying to build back up from the ground again.
Yeah, obviously, losing Westbrook, Paul George, everyone kind of figured, this is the end of the season. This is the end of the team right now.
They were no more than a 5 or 6 seed with them anyways, so you weren't winning anything anyways.
Nonetheless, the team was not really.
But think about it. You had Durant, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka, George. You had all these guys throughout the last 10 or so years, and you never won shit. All your guys had individual accolades, but you never won anything. Westbrook winning MVP. Westbrook putting up triple doubles. Durant winning MVP. Durant winning scoring titles. Harden now leaves. He wins MVP. Like, you didn't win anything. The furthest you got was to the NBA Finals when this team, they had so much potential. But
yeah, they were young,
crazy.
Though. I feel like the biggest what
they
if...
would have won the next season if they kept them together.
I think the biggest what if kind of in our generation that we've seen so far is if that team stayed together, what would they be like
Definitely,
in today's
definitely.
NBA?
You have 3 of the best 10, 15 players in the league. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. 3 MVPs.
Yeah.
We got the Grizzlies next. 33 wins last season, and their over-under is at 27.5. I have them at even. And Frank?
I have them as under. The West is really good. I get that you added Morant and Brandon Clark, but it's still going to need time. The Grizzlies are definitely trending upwards. They're doing the right things to build and compete again, but I'm going to say under. The West is just too good, and it's going to take time for a guy like Morant, Jaren Jackson, Brandon Clark, all their young pieces to get better.
Like I mentioned before, I'm not the firmest believer that the Summer League is going to gauge how good a player is in the actual NBA regular season, but as we all know, Brandon Clark did win the MVP of the Summer League, and
he's NBA ready. He improved so much from what we saw.
I feel like all it does show is if that player is really NBA ready, and
he's 100%. He got substantially better this offseason.
Yeah, that shows he is NBA ready. It is a great sign, but you got to see how they pan out in the actual league. Once again, it shows he's ready, but you don't know how he's going to handle everything in the league. Also, Morant, I think if he develops as well,
he's going to be eventually a top 5 point guard in the league. It's just a matter of time of how ready he is to play right now.
Right, it's a matter of time.
We didn't even get a glimpse of him because we didn't see him in the summer league. So
yeah, what I'm getting to is that if, like Frank said, it's a matter of time. But if that matter of time comes sooner,
and they gel quick,
and they develop into the player that they're going to be in the future quickly, I have them even right now at 27.5.
I could 100% see that. 100%.
I could see them going a little bit lower, 25 games at the lowest, but I could see them, if they light it up, I could see them stretching to a little, maybe 30, 31 wins this season. I could see that.
Next, we're going to talk about the top 5 NBA's duos this season. We're not excluding players who have injuries, so Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson will not be counted in this. So to start off, my number 1 team is the Clippers duo between Kawhi and Paul George. Talent obviously is at the highest level, but the chemistry is going to take some time for them to develop. They're 2 really good two-way players. Going to be in the starting lineup. Going to have to switch touches to see who's scoring and who's the hot end on offense. So that's going to take some time. Rick?
My number 1, I have LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think, obviously you can go either way with Kawhi and Paul George, but I firmly do believe that LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be a better duo than Kawhi and Paul George.
So if you were to bet on who would win a championship first, which duo, who would you bet on?
You can't do that because that also depends on the depth of the team.
Well, yeah, the Clippers team is much better, which is why I think that they're going to perform better together.
Right. Well,
but individually, stats-wise, it could be LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I think LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think LeBron is a great compliment to Anthony Davis, considering that, a significant amount of Anthony Davis's points come without dribbles. LeBron, as we know, is a great passer, averaging 7 assists last season. I think he's a great compliment to Anthony Davis, and we know Anthony Davis is an enormously talented person and a phenomenal basketball player.
Yeah, but he's going to clog the lane, and I think that hurts LeBron more than it helps him.
I don't
So
know.
I have Bron at 82 then, and then Rick obviously has Kawhi and PG2.
I have Kawhi and Paul George.
My third duo I have is Harden and Westbrook. They've already played together, so we're just going to have to see how they gel with Houston. Houston definitely got a little bit better. Going to be a little bit more of Westbrook off the ball, making cuts, shooting three-pointers, which he's not really good at. But Harden could play a little bit off the ball and let Westbrook run the show in transition. I think that's where he's going to be really dangerous, though. Westbrook's really good in transition. He's really quick. So I think that they're going to be the third best duo probably this season. But I wouldn't be surprised if this next one that I have listed could be up there.
Yeah. I'm kind of skeptical about Harden and Westbrook, though. Seeing
Definitely.
They want
two ball-dominant players.
Ball dominant. They want the ball. They have a hard time giving up the ball. It's interesting to see how they're going to play. Who's going to take sort of a back seat, or are they going to find a happy medium where they can both get the ball?
It's going to be hard. But if they put personal accolades aside and try and win as a team, that it could happen. But they have such big egos. I mean, Westbrook's going to want his triple-double. Harden's going to want to average more than 33, 34 games.
I mean, look at the talent that they have just with those two players, Harden and Westbrook. Yeah. I'm skeptical, however, like Frank said, if they put aside, what they want to do as an individual basketball player, and I think personally they have a good shot at doing that now, playing with a player you played with before, and knowing what could have been if you played with. Well, if you play with them in the future, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're set to go pretty far, but you never know what's going to happen. And your next duo.
Next, I have D'Angelo Russell and Curry, and I think this might not be the one people assumed of this year, but I really think that Russell and Curry is going to work really, really well together. You see down the stretch of the playoffs, a lot of times a guy like Iguodala or Draymond would bring up the ball, and Steph would be running off ball, setting down screens, him curling up on the wings. I think Russell's going to be really good, like as a primary ball handler and Curry off the ball. I think this is really going to work out, and I think that this could be potentially one of the best duos in the NBA. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. People don't realize how good D'Angelo Russell was last season. Russell not only is a good three-point shooter, but he can get inside to the lane and draw defenders towards him, collapsing defenders, and kick the ball out to Curry, which I think is going to be huge this season. I think Russell and Curry is going to be really underrated, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Russell's assist numbers skyrocket. And I think Curry's going to be a little bit more efficient when he's off the ball.
Yeah, I think, I saw a lot about him developing as a player at the Nets compared to before we got there.
And nobody respects D'Angelo Russell. Can somebody give this guy a home? He's easily one of the top 5 to 7 point guards in the NBA.
He literally carried the Nets to the playoffs.
Single-handedly brought the Nets to the playoffs.
He's phenomenal. It's going to be interesting to see Curry and him play together. I think Russell is ready to take, obviously almost anyone would be ready to take a backseat to Steph Curry. Knowing what the type of player he is, he's the greatest shooter of all time. He's going to learn a lot from Steph Curry too. And I think he's going to learn to play like Steph Curry.
It could be dangerous when they add Thompson back in February, too.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to complement each other very, very nicely.
So next, Simmons and Embiid is what I have. To be honest with you, this is just based off Simmons developing his game, getting better, floaters, mid-range, three-point shot, Embiid staying on the court. If he's on the court, he's easily one of the best big men in the game. That's no question. But his load management, his injury history, that's why I rank this duo number 5. I think if they're at full potential and Simmons develops his game and Embiid could stay healthy and get in an NBA shape, like Barkley said this morning, I think that this could easily be a top 3 duo in the NBA, but they need time.
Oh, yeah, man, obviously. Everybody, knowing the types of players that these two are expected to develop in and seeing that they're slowly moving in that direction. Rather, Embiid is, obviously one of the most dominant players. However, his injuries are a huge, huge problem for him. But Simmons obviously developing, shooting more, pretty much just shooting more. He's scared to take a three-point shot.
Well, Tobias Harris said that he was playing Simmons in one-on-one and he wouldn't step out on him at threes. And Simmons hit 2 threes in his face. But it's different hitting threes in practice rather than in a game situation.
When the pressure's on you to hit threes like that.
And it's been how many years now? Like come on, develop a jump shot. It's modern day NBA. How much better are you going to get? You only average 16 a game. Down in the stretch in the playoffs, you can only play the 4. So who's going to be the primary ball handler for the Sixers?
Jesus Christ.
That's going to hurt them also.
If he could shoot, he'd be incredible. 16 points a game and he doesn't shoot. And he could run it up the court.
Well, his assist numbers would be able to skyrocket also because they back off him so much. So if they were closer to him, when he drove to lane, he'd draw more defenders.
And it would be a threat as well because now he could drive the lane. Can he drive the lane? But now if he develops a jump shot as well, that would also complement Embiid. I think that could easily also be a top 3 duo. But it sucks to see that they aren't developing. It really does suck.
Okay, so next we have give us your top 4 teams in the East. We're doing a quick Q&A here. Top 4 teams from Rob. I'm going to start off and I'm going to say Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, Pacers. That's what I would say. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers are a 3 seed though. Rick?
Do you think the Bucks could make the conference finals? Oh, do you think the Rockets? I'm sorry. Do you think the Rockets can make the conference finals? I think that depends on the chemistry.
I don't think so. I think we're going to see the Clippers and Lakers. And I think the Jazz are better, and I think the Nuggets could be better also.
Honestly,
it's going to be close. The West is going to be difficult.
I could see that, but I don't know, man. Could they knock off the Lakers? It's possible. I don't think they're going to knock off the Clippers. But if they develop the right way, man, that team's going to be freaky good.
No Nets in top 4. No, not this season. No, not without Durant. Finals prediction. This is a little early, but I would say Clippers versus Bucks. Wouldn't be surprised to see the 76ers or the Lakers there, though.
I could say, obviously, I agree with you there. Bucks straight through. No doubt about it. But as for the West, I feel like there are so many. It's so balanced now.
If you had to pick a team.
If I had to pick a team, That's a tough one, man. I could easily see the Lakers doing it. I really could.
All right. Winners from the Summer League: Brandon Clark, Mitchell Robinson, Jared Allen, Kendrick Dunn from Miami. He was really good. Tyler Hero was really good. Summer League was interesting, though. And should the Summer League be gone? I was talking about this actually yesterday with Graf. The Summer League is really just annoying because all the guys we want to see play, like, there's only like 2 to 3 guys on the team, each team that we really want to see play basketball, and then we have these random scrubs taking minutes away from them. Like, do we really need Summer League?
It's like in preseason in football. Every
exactly.
once in a while you'll get that big injury, and you're like, well, why were they playing? It's preseason. Although it is good, I do think that rookies, it's a good idea for them to play Summer League. It is a phenomenal transition.
It's good to get their feet wet on.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal transition. You get your foot in the door, you see how you do, but it's very, very touchy. It's very scary because you are risking injury, and that could hurt you in the long run. That can affect, how you play and the contracts you're going to get, how teams view you. Now you're looked at as an injury-prone player for playing in a summer league that everyone takes lightly. Should the summer league be gone? No, but I think
there's ways that they can improve it. Okay, so biggest sleeper free agency signing? I think Kevon Looney, obviously, but we know what he's like in Golden State. I think Malcolm Brogdon is going to be really good for the Pacers.
How about the Knicks? Would you consider Randall?
I think Randall's a big sleeper too. Yeah, definitely. What big name gets moved by the deadline? this is pretty obvious. I think Bradley Beal gets moved. They're just going to be horrible. It's going to be obviously a guy on a team that is not going to be that good this season, and they're just going to want to move on and get pieces for their star players. So I think Bradley Beal definitely could be on his way out. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. That was Season 1, Episode 8. I guess one more question. We just got one. Will D'Lo be traded by the deadline? I don't think so. I think they're actually going to keep D'Angelo Russell because he's going to blend well with Curry. So that's it. Season 1, Episode 8. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back on Friday. Ciao.